Hello and welcome to Loot Level Chat, the podcast from Loot Level Chill. I'm your host, Mick Fraser, and I'm joined by Steve Chambers.
I'm back, baby.
And Kieran Singh.
Hello.
No Lyle this week, no Chris this week. It's just the three of us. And we haven't got an awful lot to talk about. Now, quantity.
You might to explain that one a
little
bit.
We haven't got a lot of quantity to talk about, but we have got a big thing to talk about because it's Resident Evil Requiem week, folks. So we're going to talk about the new Resi game. And then we're going to have a little bit of a chat about the series in general, because we've got 7 and 8 have just been released on Switch 2, so we can talk about those. And me and Steve have sort of been dabbling in the series again. So we've got a bit of Resi to talk about. It's like a Resi week.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I love a bit of Resident Evil.
I've obviously, as it's been historically known, haven't been the horror boy, but weirdly, I've been sucked into it more recently. I'm getting my horror legs.
I can't. I try and play horror.
You can. I believe in you.
I don't
this
want
is
to.
the series to do it, I
I
think.
don't want to play horror. It's not something I want to overcome. I just don't want to do it. I don't enjoy it.
It is tense.
I don't mind Resi though, right? Because we'll talk about it. But I played Resi 4, played about half of Resi 4 remake, because I never played Resi 4 when it first came out. Like I was because I was done with Resi by the time Resident Evil 4 came out.
Yeah.
And then I played 5. I bought 5 and didn't like it. I bought 6 and didn't like it.
The disappointment on Kieran's face then. For
I know.
A second.
The last Resi game I really enjoyed was Code Veronica, and that was years ago.
Was that about 1804, 1805, maybe?
That's old Resi. That's like an old. You know how I feel about old games.
I associate that. That's a Dreamcast thing in my head. Is that right?
I think so.
It was a long time.
Yeah, that's what I associate with some unknown reason.
Yeah, but it's an old series, isn't it? I mean, it's been going since what was the first 96? Like everything was 96 was such a fucking year, wasn't it? 96 and 97 were like
peak gaming.
Just absolutely, just the birth of so many franchises. But yeah, 96 sounds right, because it's set in 99, isn't it? Or in I'm sure it's set like a little bit after for some reason.
It's 1998 is the Raccoon City incident, I think.
Yeah.
See, I've never played Resi 1, man. It's on my list now.
Really?
I wouldn't bother, Steve.
I won't play Resi 1 again until they do a Resident Evil 2 and 3 and 4 style remake of it. Just build it again from the ground up.
It got a remaster not so long ago, didn't it? Relative terms,
yeah.
But I think that still sticks to the classic tanky controls and
I think
cameras.
It's just a remaster in terms of I think they polished up the textures and shit. I don't think it was like a proper.
I think it was rebuilt, but it was rebuilt in the same style. And I think they not fixed, but they improve some of the tank controls, but it's still at that awkward thing where you got the fixed angle camera.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
Weird to go back to now, I guess, especially having the freedom of the recent remakes. It's going to be tough going.
Yeah, they're so good as well. Like that, they take I've played bits of 1, 2, and 3 previously, but I can't be asked for that. But I just can't be asked. This is not fun. Whereas 2 and 3 particularly, I think those are both really, really good remakes.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's got the nostalgia factor for a lot of people. I'm guessing that pushes a lot of sales. But if that had come out as a fresh franchise, starting with any of those, they'd have gone like hotcakes anyway, man. They're so good. I'm saying the fact that 3 managed to drag me into getting some horror gaming on the go. And I mean, God knows why I managed to dive into it for some unknown reason. I think you guys have been talking about it and knowing that Requiem was coming.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, I know this isn't too long. I've got a vague idea of what's coming, and it was an easy on for me, but it's certainly got me into it again. Man.
I think it's a good onboarding series for horror in general, because I like horror games, and I like the story. With most games, it's story is the most important thing to me, and Resi's story overall is bollocks, but it's really enjoyable bollocks.
I mean, it is some convoluted bullshit. You very kindly sent me a video which was like recapping the lore of all of them, which I have managed to get through in a day today.
Oh, did you watch it?
Yeah, I had it on the background at work and just in earphones listening to it all.
Funnily enough,
man, that is there's a lot to get your head around.
Funnily enough, I went through Resident Evil 1 to 7 lore. I listened to a podcast called Lore Dump. It's a couple of guys, just Monty Zander is the host, and he sits with a couple of his friends, and he basically takes them through he takes them through the lore of a game that they generally haven't played.
Yeah.
And then he just tries to explain it all in layman's terms, but they do they proper act out the cut scenes, and like the Spider-Man one they did is like amateur dramatics. It's really, really good. Like they do a really good job. And they do like 4-hour pods where it's just like they'll go through the whole thing.
Wow.
That's what I want. I want it to be like, because I mean, some of the ones that I've listened to, because I listen to them while I sleep, so I've been listening to the one that I sent you, Steve. I think it's the Lady of Law.
Yeah, and she is wonderfully soothing to listen to.
She's got a really nice voice
during a day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she's got a really nice voice, and I think like I've been listening to her do Resident Evil and now Elden Ring. But I want as much detail as possible, so I'm more than happy to listen to like 4, 5, 6, 7 hours of this stuff.
Oh yeah, I love lore. If I'm in the mood for it, I'll just, because there's like 4 or 5 lore. I've not heard Lady of Lore. I might try it, because I listen to like a lot of lore podcasts, and it'll be anything from like SCP to films to mostly games or books. But I like something that's gonna, like, because I like Vati for Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Oh, everyone loves
and I like My Name Is Bife for Destiny. I like the ones who get like fucking really into the nitty-gritty and take it really seriously, and like it's like a history they're giving you.
Yep.
I love stuff like that. But Resi's like that. Resi's got, because it is convoluted and it is B-movie most of the time, nonsense, and like little things they do don't help. Capcom in general tend to not, like, their games can have great concepts, they can have great worlds, they can have great stories, they can even have great characters when in a vacuum, which we're going to discuss the characters in the bonus pod this week, actually, for the patrons. But characters of Resi, not Capcom in general. That would be a long pod for another
one.
Full 4-hour bonus. Let's go.
Yeah, but I find that Capcom are really good at like coming up with a concept idea. They come up with a world that is fun to play in and to be in and to exist in, like Monster Hunter and Devil May Cry and all these things. But their ability to actually tell a story is like, it's kind of like a drunk uncle at a wedding, like where it's just like they start and then they'll go off at a tangent and then it'll be like, that doesn't make sense, and then they'll rewrite their own canon constantly to the point where you can't keep up with where, like, and then you end up.
It's an odd blend sometimes of what you feel like is being recycled with new names, times, and stuff going on. And you're like, have I seen this before? And then there'll be some weird detail that throws it completely off.
The thing is, in a game franchise, is different to like a movie. So say you had a movie franchise that's been going for 20 years, right? Generally, that means you had 3 movies and they were all 10 years apart, right? That, generally speaking, if a movie franchise has gone on that long, you've probably only got 6 to 9 hours of actual story to chew through, even though it's a 20-year-old franchise. Unless you're talking nonsense like Halloween, where there's 50 films, or where the lore doesn't even matter anymore. But generally speaking, like if it's an ongoing film trilogy, it's not usually. It doesn't really matter, if you know what I mean, to try and get into. Whereas when you've got games and a game franchise has been going for 20 years, generally that means there's a fucking shitload of them, right? There's a lot of games. And because the writing teams cycle out and the devs cycle out and the attitudes change and the zeitgeist changes and the studio changes and different priorities come up and all these things that change constantly. So by the time you have a franchise like Resident Evil that's been going for this long, the original story it must be really hard, is what I'm saying,
to keep that like coherency over that long,
and not be like, well, we wrote ourselves into a corner and we killed that character and it's over. So now we've got to come up with some nonsense bollocks why that character's actually alive, because otherwise we've got to introduce new characters. And every time we introduce new characters into this franchise, everyone gets pissed off with us.
Yeah,
and we have to introduce a new character next to an old character or nobody's going to like it.
Just to get them accepted.
Or they've got to be related to an old character, haven't they?
Yeah, exactly. Because generally speaking, like, gamers are babies and we want it. We want new stuff that tastes exactly like the old stuff.
New stuff the same as the old.
Or we're going to kick up shit. But I
mean, with Resi in particular, I found, especially like listening to it today, it's not as if you can literally start at the first game and work through, and they're going to follow chronologically anyway, because they are skipping all over the shop.
Yeah.
And to try and keep track of that, even if you were playing them day and date they came out, your brain would just start to melt. You'd be like, okay, well, this one's just skipped ahead 20 years. This has now gone back to before everything. It's tough going, man. And even listening to that put into one big section was hard. Like, okay, stop a second. Where did that refer to earlier? And it's tough, man.
But
that's why I like that video. That specific video I like, because I've seen a few of them, and often they will go chronologically, and especially with like the later games that have stuff that happens way before even the start of the first game. It just gets so confusing.
The video I listened to, they do it in order that the games came out. So it's like, right now this is a prequel, so we've gone back. So it explains it all quite clearly. But like, you think about a lot of big franchises that have been ongoing for a long time, like say Final Fantasy, or Call of Duty or Zelda, right? 3 franchises that have been going for decades. They don't have necessarily a coherent through line story.
Basically, if you try and put the Zelda one together, you end up like pinboard notes and strings all over.
There's 3 timelines for Zelda. You had to canonically say that because people kept trying to put them into some sort of coherent order. There isn't one.
And it's the same as Call of Duty. If you follow Call of Duty, there's characters that come up that are the same, and there's small stories within the greater universe, but none of it matters canonically. It could I know they do a lot with the Sledgehammer side of it.
I'm thinking like Mason and the numbers and all that.
Yeah, the Black Ops side of it has always been quite good at maintaining at least a core, although that's gone
sideways now, hasn't it? So.
But it's difficult, I think, and it's easier for developers to. I mean, look at Kingdom Hearts or something. It's easy for developers to just be like, "This is the story we want to tell. We're just going to chuck these characters in because these are the characters that people will cosplay as and buy plushies of." So, this is what we're sticking with.
Cynical bastard.
It's true, though. It's true. I mean, you can't tell me I'm wrong.
I mean, you're not wrong, but.
But then when you've got something like Resident Evil, you've kind of pigeonholed into wanting to tell story. And this is why you get stuff like Resident Evil 7 and Village, and then Requiem, which we will talk about, I promise, in a minute.
Oh, we were doing that.
That's why you get that stuff, because Capcom go, let's take it back to its roots. Let's do horror. Let's change it and we're going to make it first person. We're going to make it. But then it's but if you don't put shit we know in, so it's because correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't played Resident Evil 7. There's not that much resi stuff in it.
There is towards the back end.
That's what I mean. At the beginning, it's a new protagonist, and I know that Chris Redfield comes into that, and he's in Village and stuff like that. But which again, I haven't played because I'm a coward. But Resident Evil 7, I know, was Ethan Winters. It was a very different direction for the franchise, because it started off as third person horror, and then it had gone into just balls out action. By the time you got to 4, 5, 6, they're just more or less action games. And then it was now what do we do? So they took it back to horror. 7 is more of a horror. People were fucking Resident Evil scary again.
Yeah, literally taking it back into that other dimension and giving it the first person makes it.
And then Resident Evil 8 was kind of I don't know, the developers were watching Dracula and fucking Wolfman and stuff for a weekend while they smoked something and went, just put that in it.
Classic monsters, get them in there.
Yeah, and so it went a bit, but again, they take these risks, and then it only works because the fans will cling on to the fact that Chris Redfield's there, and and it always ties back to Umbrella and Neo Umbrella and God knows.
Well, yeah, in Village, I remember there was that big thing because it shows you the origin of the Umbrella logo, because the logo for that village is basically the same thing, isn't it? And that was
it's the Four Lords thing, isn't it?
The Four Lords, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. But I mean, it is what it is. But we better talk about Requiem, though, because that's the new one. That's out this week. That's got, I say this week at time of recording, I think it's imminent.
It is, a couple of days.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is, so technically speaking, this is number 9, right?
Yeah.
Of the numbered games, this would be Resident Evil 9. Because I know Village isn't 8, but it's got like village, and they did that really clever logo thing, didn't they? Where
I sometimes wonder how much they're having to retro that fit and going, right, we need to fit this in. What do we call it?
I loved that when it did that though. When it was like Resident Evil and it was like 8, and then it turned to Village, and everybody was like,
well, 7 did it as well.
yeah.
7 did it with, I think, with the Evil, and then I think 9 does it with the Q in Requiem.
Yeah, it's the Q, isn't it?
Because guys, you could have called it Resident Evil 8
I know.
if you wanted, and nobody would have cared if you hadn't called it.
We're going to call it that anyway.
Yeah, that's what everyone calls it. It's like Requiem. The amount of people I see just referring it to Resident Evil 9 or Resi 9. But so who's reviewing it for the site?
Chris has done it.
Chris gave it a 9.5.
I probably should have read it really before I came on.
Yeah.
But who's played it the most out of you guys? Because I haven't played it at all.
I probably put the most in out of myself and Kieran. Yeah,
So,
I reached about the halfway point of the game, I think, so far.
So can you give us some framework without going into spoiler territory of?
Yeah, so as everyone went wild in the trailers, this is the return of Leon. He's
Leon.
back. The floppy head window is back in there as well, which I spotted a nice little detail earlier as well. This is the thing where so he has a lovely looking Porsche that he drives around in nowadays. Because obviously he's getting older. He's had his midlife crisis. Sports car. That's what obviously you do.
He's earned his money.
But on the number plate, the numbers are the Resi games he's been in.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. So if you look back, I think it was 9642. Nice little detail
That's
for it.
cool.
So yeah, so Leon is back. And we've also got a new protagonist in Grace, who is an FBI researcher. She doesn't seem to be like full FBI agent. She's
quite naive for FBI, I think, considering some of the stuff that happens at the very start of the game.
Yeah, she feels a little bit wet behind the ears, and she reminds me of. Have you ever seen Criminal Minds? This will be completely wasted now as a reference.
Oh, I think that's what Jam watches like every night.
Yeah, because there's about 14 billion episodes.
Are you going to talk about the girl behind the computer?
I think there's two characters in the earlier episodes. There's a guy in there who is very much like her. And I think later on there's a girl behind the computer who it reminds me of. So if anyone gets it, that's a bit of a point of reference. But she comes across as a bit of a noob, gets sent out on a case, and things go horribly wrong for her.
Very quickly as well.
Yeah, very, very quick. There isn't too much fucking around with this.
Because whenever I see Leon Kennedy, I assume we're going down the action route a bit. Like Resident Evil 2 is the closest to the horror that he's been in. But even that is like there's a lot of shooting and especially in like the remake of it. And Resident Evil 4 is just, I mean, like I said, I didn't play the original.
Yeah, I mean, this has a fair split. From what I've had so far, there is a divide in gameplay terms between the two characters.
That's what
Race is intense, so you can play in first person or third person. You can make that choice. The default will set Grace in a first person view and Leon in a third person, so you can get all your action, crazy roundhouse kick bullshit going on. And that's the split between the two. It feels like it wants Grace to be that more classic, terrified of the dark, walking around corners horror experience. Leon is the balls out, don't give a shit, I'll shotgun things to the face. And it has split the game in very clearly in those sections. There has been character building. You know, Grace is very scared at the beginning, and you know that tenseness comes across, but she does have a bit of character growth. Whereas Leon is just very much Resi 4, straight in there, fucks things up, doesn't care anymore. I think he's seen so much dark shit.
Well, he will have seen it. He's been through some shit, Leon.
Yeah. Nowadays, he just like zombie, shrug, just takes it down, doesn't give a fuck.
So is it scary?
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it has the stalker enemy elements that you would associate with say Mr. X more so than Nemesis. Nemesis has the stalker element, but it'll just bust through a fucking wall. It's very explosive and action heavy. This goes back to the creepiness of, say, a Mr. X character, whereby you will be sneaking around in the dark, trying not to make a noise, trying to keep into the shadows. There'll be moments when you are literally having to creep around behind these characters. You mentioned the other day, Kieran, about them turning around at inopportune moments.
Yeah,
it plays on that a lot.
I hate that. I hate stalker enemies. Like stalker. I'm not the best with horror games. Like I love them and I love the stories, but I scare really easily when it comes to video games. And stalker enemies are just the worst because there's no sort of predictability. You can't even like use a guide to like work out where they're going to be
No.
because they are just somewhere in the level, which is why I've got my system is what I will do is I will usually, once I've saved in a safe room, I will just sprint through the next section, not really doing anything other than sprinting to see where sort of mapping the area, and then I'll reload and I'll go back and play it properly. Because
you're just looking for the escape route just in case.
I just want to know where the monsters are, and then once I know where they are, I'm fine.
But the thing is, you can't always know.
No, I know.
The way that there's, say, without being too spoilery, I think she was shown off in the trailer as well. There's a character known as the Girl, and she can walk around corridors, but she can also jump into little hidey holes and move around outside of your field of vision. And you just know that she can drop in fucking anywhere at any point. That's what it relies upon to build that tense atmosphere.
See, that I can't deal with that level of tension because I play games to relax. Right, that's why I play games. I like a game. That's why I play a lot of switch off grindy games because I play a game to relax.
Yeah.
If I want tension in a game, usually I'll play a Souls-like. That's where I get my tension from. Where it's
makes sense.
It gets me on edge, and I get the heart rate up, and then I get that buzz, the endorphin of beating the boss. That's my tension. That's what I like. So, like, I've tried to play horror. Like, I tried 3 times maybe to play Alien Isolation because Alien
that's the worst one to go with, man.
The trouble is, Alien is my favorite
jamming it
franchise. Like of all of them, like Alien, Predator. I've tried more, and I played Darkest Descent and Alien Fireteam Elite and Alien vs. Predator. Played all of the games. And I thought, Isolation, I know this universe, I know this monster, I know, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I know what to expect from this. Like, if I didn't go into an Alien film I haven't seen and think this is going to scare me, because it doesn't anymore. Like, but that game, fucking, I just can't. I clamp up so tight, I realise I'm not breathing and my teeth are hurting, and I'm just like, this is not.
That's not a fun time.
That's a fun experience.
Not relaxing, is it?
So what I tend to do is I'll go and I'll watch. The only Let's Plays I watch, because I find it fairly boring to watch other people play games. No offense to like Twitch streamers and things like that. It's great, but it's not for me because
I love you
rather.
All, don't worry.
Huh?
I said I love them all. Don't worry, it's fine.
Yeah, I would rather play a game than watch someone play it. But I watch a couple of very specific YouTubers play Souls-likes during the week of release, who I might well name. But then, like, I watch Let's Plays of horror games. Like, I've been watching Reanimal last couple of
Okay,
nights.
cool.
It's only a 3-hour game, and I watched the whole of like Dead Space. And in the end, I just watched somebody play Alien Isolation over the course of like a fortnight. Every time I was doing something, I could have a second screen, and I just put that on, and that's where I can still consume the media. But I haven't got to put myself in it.
It's because you have that level of detachment from it at that point, don't you?
Yeah. I can't do it. Yeah.
I mean, that's part of it where, say, mentioning with the first person versus third person views, I've tried it out for about 10 minutes and then I thought, fuck this, I am out. This is not happening, because it is so much more tense. Your view is more restricted. Yeah. I mean, putting headphones on as well, that's a fucking no. That is not happening.
Play it in VR, see how that goes.
Oh, no, I have once played a bit of Resi 7 in VR, and again, I lasted about 15 minutes and just went, nah, this is not
horror in VR is just fuck off. I can't do it.
It's horrible. But I think that what makes it easier to cope with is having that third person view. If you were forced to always have Grace in first person, I mean, it suits Leon, obviously, say, because you see all the big action moments, and that feels weird if that was in first person.
I kind of want to try that, though, because I haven't tried Leon in first person.
I haven't dipped into it that way either yet. I mean, I just think that would seem really strange.
So I reviewed, back in the day, Resident Evil 4 in VR.
Okay.
I had it on Oculus Quest, on the Quest 2. That was really interesting, because there's a lot of moments in that game where he like will jump through a window or will dive out, and what it does in VR is it will come out of VR and just show you him jump through the window, and then it puts you back in VR.
That's got to be the better option, man, because doing head over heels out of window, you'll be vomiting.
I can't imagine that's fun, admittedly, but it was such a weird immersion breaker to just be like, I'm going to jump through this window now, and you just watch him jump through the window, and then you're back in his head again when he gets up.
Oh,
and it was all, I don't know, there was something really comical about the whole process, because I was like, maybe just don't have me do a somersault. Maybe just let me like jump through the window and just be outside now. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit, but then Resident Evil 4 is has always been a little bit like campy and.
Well, Leon is a return to that. I mean, he is full of 80s action one-liners. Like you guarantee if he walks into a room, he's going to pull some bullshit out for a one-liner somewhere, and it's been consistent. That's one of the few things that I've not enjoyed, to be honest. I don't like the campiness of that. And I
does he do that in Requiem? Does he fire off the one-liners in Requiem?
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Left, right, and centre. He's always got something quippy to say about every situation. There are moments of heartfelt emotion from him, but they are few and far between. So far, it's always just been like quippy bullshit. I think for me, I say as a non-horror lover up until more recently, you'd think I'd enjoy the action side more, but I have much preferred the Grace sections.
Really?
Yeah, and I think. Again, having come from 3, which, all right, it has its action stuff. It is more leaning towards the classic horror. And I think that set my level of expectations. So going in there and like having played a bit of Resi 4 again recently just to feel it out, and this, I'm not as into the full-on action stuff, even though it is easier to deal with emotionally. But
yeah,
horses for course, man. People can get different things from this. I think Capcom have tried to balance that out with the 2 sections. Because it is very much split, not evenly, but there is a good split between the 2, at least up until this first half that I've got to.
Well, once upon a time, Resident Evil games, I say once upon a time, I think it was only the first 2. They used to have like the dual protagonist thing. And like back in the day, a game like Requiem would have a Grace storyline and a Leon storyline, and you play whichever one you want.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then elements of each would like, because I think it might have been Resi 1 where you had like Chris A and B and Jill A and B, and like depending on which one you played first, change little things, which at the time in like '96 was like, that was like a big deal to have. That
was groundbreaking at the time.
Because I remember, because this is how I used to play. I used to play horror, and even when I was scared, I used to play these games. Because I played Resident Evil, the original Resident Evil, like I played it 4 times, like I did all the storylines.
Okay.
Well, actually, I didn't finish one of the Chris runs because I remember I'd got to a point where I'd saved and I didn't have enough ammo to kill the hunters.
Oh.
And no matter what I did,
basically soft locked yourself.
I basically did, and I couldn't. No matter what I did, I didn't have the ammo to deal with the hunters in that section of the game. But yeah, they used to do that thing where it's a dual thing. So like once upon a time, like Grace would have her storyline and Leon would have his storyline, and then you would be able to be like, well, if you're an action-y guy, play Leon. If you want the horror, play Grace, or maybe play both. And
here they're much more intertwined. You know, they are separate fields to each bit, but that storyline is crisscrossing left, right, and centre. You know, it all joins up and makes sense. It's not as if you've got a disjointed story between those guys.
Same with the locations, isn't it? Like, you play through something as Grace and then play through it as Leon afterwards. And I think that it's stuff that you pick up in the game as Grace. If you don't pick it up, then it's left there for Leon to pick up afterwards. So
and certain things can't be accessed by, say, Grace that can be accessed by Leon. So when you go back into that area, like, oh, I'll go and grab that from area X, Y, or whatever you were going to do. So like, it's like certain things can't be smashed or opened. You're like, oh, okay, that's there for later. Essentially, it's been. I mean, how about you, Kieran? I'm playing this on the most casual of casual modes.
I'm just on normal. I always just leave it on whatever.
I just left it on there. Yeah. How have you found it so far in terms of things like ammo generosity?
There's not much of it. Like I've been able to craft a decent amount. I think this. I don't know what I can't really remember what it was like in original 4 and 5, but I know with these last few remakes, it takes a hell of a lot of bullets to put a zombie down.
Yeah,
especially even headshots. Like some of them take more than 3 or 4 headshots. I found like it's a lot, and then you've got the revolver gun as well, haven't you? The revolver that you can.
Or the Requiem itself.
Requiem, yeah, which you get like if you're lucky, you've got 1 bullet for at any one time.
Yeah, I mean, so I've been playing it through on filthy casual mode because that's been me just getting through it, and I've not once really struggled for ammo at any given point. Whereby, so you got the Requiem, which is your big bad gun that you're gonna need, and you'd think it's the Magnum-esque, I guess, as far as it goes. I've not really had to touch it much so far.
I had to use it at one point. I got myself in a corridor with Grace, and 3 zombies came down the corridor towards me, and I wouldn't have wasted it on them normally, but they lined up perfectly.
Oh, did you do it in a one?
Why not? Yeah, got them all with one, which is very satisfying.
See, I've not had that experience because I've not felt the need to do it. I've just been wandering around with regular pistol and regular ammo, and haven't found it too tough as far as it goes. And the headlock or when you're locking onto enemies seems really generous so far. Maybe that's a thing.
That'll be on the mode that you're on, because if there is any on normal mode, it's very light. It's they as soon as they start swaying, it is really difficult to hit, especially as Grace, really difficult to hit them.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So maybe mine's not a fair judgment of how that feels then, because mine's literally it's in front of you. Click the button and you are locked on,
like playing Red Dead Redemption or something, where you just
exactly
locks,
it just locks straight to it. And it's especially handy if you do things like just go for the knees, just drop them straight down and leg it past. Like that's the thing. They've also done the thing whereby, was it the Crimson Heads were in the original Resi or one of the remakes maybe, where they made zombies tougher, whereby if you leave them for a while they will come back and be literally bite you in the arse. That there is an element of that to it as well, so you have to be careful which ones you're going to leave there and which ones you're actually going to take the time to finally kick their asses. But I'm interested to see how everyone's going to feel about it, because I mean,
same.
You are going to get, I think, backlash from the guys who want a pure horror experience for sure, because it is leaning into campier action stuff.
It's slapstick at times, like. Some people thought Village was quite silly, and it was silly, but in this one, you've got Leon pirouetting with a chainsaw at times, and it's like, I thought the same thing. I was wondering, the people that didn't like Village, because it veered too far into that sort of silly campiness.
Yeah,
are they gonna enjoy this one?
But then a lot of these people are the same ones who revere, Resi 4 so highly, and that is the pinnacle of camping.
This is it.
They're all camp, to be honest.
You sometimes tend to find, or at least I tend to find, you've got Resident Evil fans, but Leon S. Kennedy fans are like a different thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not necessarily the fact that it's Resident Evil. Like the popularity of that character is fucking insane, really. Like, more so than the others. So that, which is like, and a lot of that stems from basically the fact that 4 is a really good game. Like I said, I've never played the original 4, but I've watched a full play of it, and I've played the remake, and it's just a fun game. It's just a really good. It's got a great atmosphere. The characters are certainly better in the remake than they were in the original. Some of them, like specifically some of them, but like. It's just one of those things where, like, you've got something like Requiem where you've got Grace and you've got Leon, and you have an opportunity, Capcom, and then have an opportunity to say, we're serving the Leon fans with this side of the game, but we're also serving the horror fans. So I think you're always going to have a problem, because you can't ever please all the people. It's just one of those things. You please all the people half the time, or half the people all the time. You can never do both. So like, you're going to have that, but Capcom are always going to have that, and they always have had that with this franchise. And then it comes out and it sells cobs, and it's like, there's going to be a Resi X, which they will definitely call Resident Evil X. It's going to happen regardless, because it's such a big thing. And then it'll
go through that cycle of where people like, some will come down like a ton of shit now, and there'll be retrospectives in 3 or 4 years time going, oh, is this actually the best Resident Evil ever made? And it feels like everything goes through that cycle nowadays.
Because I'd like to see a Jill and Chris Resi somehow. I'd like to see like Shiva Alamar. Do you know what I mean? Like, these characters that haven't popped up as much. I know Chris is in Village quite a lot, but I don't think Jill's been in a mainline game for years. Like, I can't remember the last time.
Jill 5, I think, was the last time we saw her.
Yeah, and that she wasn't playable in that.
No.
She's just a character in the game. So like,
is she in Revelations, or I just made that up?
She might be. Actually, I think she might be. Yeah, I think she's Revelations.
Isn't she the one wandering around the cruise ship?
Yeah.
I'd like to see if they do Resi 10. When they do Resident Evil 10, I think that'd be because at some point they've got to do a greatest hits of. They've got to do a game where it's like it's Chris and Jill and Claire and Leon, and they're like your four, and then like you can put Rebecca and Barry and the side characters in it somewhere, but you put the 4 core characters back in it, not in a way that they did with 6, where they everybody had to have a fucking story, and it was all silly nonsense. But I mean, like something that brings everything together, and at the same time gives you those. But then I guess you've got like because Ethan Winters is not in Requiem. And I mean, don't tell me if it's a spoiler, but I don't believe
not to my knowledge.
So, like, did his story end in Village?
Yeah, his story ended at the end of Village. Yeah,
like categorically ends.
I think
categorically as far as Resident Evil goes, I guess.
Yeah.
I think isn't he rumored to be in what's the Rose DLC for 8?
So there's a route,
and there's a bit towards the end of that where you see someone stood at the end of the road, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's Ethan. That's Ethan."
Someone, I think they hacked it or modded it or whatever, and they zoomed the camera right in, and it's his model.
So he's probably back soon. Who knows?
Or it could be a reused model. I don't think anyone.
Yeah.
No, because it's so pulled out so far in the actual shot that you never know who it was. But
it could be anything.
So we're like while we're talking about it, because you've played 7 and 8 on Switch 2. Kieran, did you?
No, Lyle played them. I want to because I love 7 and 8.
I'm out of touch at the minute. Yeah, Lyle's been playing them, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Because we were going to talk about it tonight, but we couldn't make it. But so, do you know anything about them? Has Lyle mentioned it much?
He said they run really well. Like, I mean, it's 7 with all the DLC. Like, 7's a really, really good game. Like, it's that sort of that is like if they were going to remake 1, I'd want it to be like 7 because it's that sort of tight, close quarters house for a good chunk of the game, with the enemy stalking you all in first person. It's really, really good.
As long as they took a third person mode in that, I'd give it a go.
Yeah, that one doesn't have
as it stands, not a sniff.
It's got a VR mode. You can play it like that, Steve.
Oh, good, lucky me. they added third person to the Village Gold Edition, didn't they?
Yeah,
but I wonder if. I mean, it's all on the RE engine, which is black magic fuckery in itself, isn't it? At times that is absolutely astounding. So I wonder if they could retrofit that back in at some point. It seems strange they did it for 8 or Village and then not do it for 7. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if they would or if they could, but it would be nice.
Maybe it's an architecture thing. Maybe it's more difficult to implement.
And that was a big change. Then moving to that first person view as well. So obviously they would have built everything around it working in that atmosphere. So maybe they went, "Oh, okay, we can't actually get away with doing anything else but that now," and then maybe learn that lesson later on.
I think what 7's got that I think puts it. If I was to list all my favorite Resident Evil games and what I think the best ones are, I would put 7 probably in one of the top 2 slots, and it's for Jack Baker, because as a big bad and as a stalker, he's just perfect because he's so stupid. Like it's like it's perfect for me because it's still fucking terrifying. He's huge, he's imposing, he's like he just will not die, but he's also quite funny. And that sort of that little, the campy silliness of it just takes the sting out of it just enough for me to be able to play it comfortably or somewhat comfortably.
Because that's the one that I like the vibes of most, that whole kind of Bayou vibes and Deep South, and it's always given me a bit of like True Detective-esque setting, which I really love anyway. So I'd love to be able to grow a pair and actually give it a go at some point. But yeah, that whole bit of that universe just feels amazing as far as it goes.
Yeah,
isn't that also one where you have a chainsaw on chainsaw moment?
Yes, you do. And there's also it's got one of the coolest pieces of DLC in the whole series where you're basically trapped. You're locked in a bed, and Marguerite, the mum of the family, feeds you, and then she leaves the room. And it's basically like a puzzle room. You've got to try and work out how to get out of the shackles, then get out of bed, then get out of the room. But she comes back into the room periodically. So every time she comes back in, you've got to put everything back the way you found it. Otherwise, she freaks out and kills you, and it's game over. You got to start again. And
right.
I've never played anything like that.
Yeah, a bit of a short but replayable situation.
Really cool. Really cool.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
I'm loving that as a new idea, and that would really fuck with like pure Resi fans, wouldn't it, at that point?
But you've been playing 3, or you played 3, the remake of.
Yeah, I did. I'd say God knows why I fell into it. I think it was knowing that Requiem was coming up, and I was off work ill for a few days, and I just thought, you know what's on there? It's the first time I've actually turned my Xbox on in about 9 months or something stupid. And it was just there. I thought, you know what? I'll give it a go. You know, I know it's not going to take too long. I've got a bit of an idea of what's coming, even though I've never been into them. I've always been around the culture, so I had a view of what was going to happen and things, and I really enjoyed it, man. It's been bemoaned since they changed too much from the original to the remake.
See, I didn't like the remake because I really like Nemesis. Nemesis used to be my favourite. It's not many people that say that, but once upon a time it was either Resident Evil 2 or Nemesis, and Nemesis was one of those games when I was younger that I used to play a lot. Like I'd play it over and over. You know, when you had those core games that, like, you know, we've spoken about them on this podcast before.
So you knew it like the back of your hand. Then.
Yeah, it was never very long or particularly complicated, and it was one of those games that I used to just play a lot. Like I'd play it and I'd finish it, and you know, me and my stepbrothers or whatever would sit, and it would be like we'd just play Resident Evil 3 together, and we went through it. I don't know how many times we went through all three of the games, but particularly Resident Evil 2 and 3. And so I got the Resi 2 remake, which I think is for what it is, I think is a near perfect remake of that game. It's one of my favorite games of the last sort of 5 or 6 years. But it's 2018, wasn't it? Fucking hell, it's like
a little while ago now.
I couldn't believe that. But Resident Evil 2 remake is it's fantastic. Like I really, really fucking like it.
Is it because it held on to the vibes and feel as much as anything else, rather than being just a straight?
Because it felt like, and it did that thing where I did the rose tinted glasses thing that only really good remakes do, where I'm playing it and I'm going, this is what we did in the last. Like this is the same. Like, what's the difference?
And then you actually look back at it and go,
yeah, and it's like, okay, that's the difference. But like that, it was like that. You know, the vibes were right. Like the atmosphere is right. Everything they did, I think, was really good. And so I didn't play Resident Evil 3 remake until, I don't know, that was only like 2 years ago or something. I played it, so I couldn't believe that
quite recently.
I couldn't believe it came out in 2020 when I checked it earlier while we were talking about it. But
yeah,
I played it in 2023. And it was just different. And like that, it looks really good and it plays fine. And it's only a short bite-sized thing. It's like 5-6 hours tops.
Yeah, I think my total playtime was about 6.5, 7 hours.
Yeah, and it's good on its in of itself, on its own merits. I think it's quite good, but it deviates a lot from the game I loved back in like the early 2000s or whatever when I played Resident Evil.
Because I'd be interested to know how much changes, because as I say, for me, I only have had the one experience. I've seen things said about, is it like a clock tower section or something like that?
They took a whole section out.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, they took like a whole section out of the game. I think the way Nemesis behaves in the remake is different to how he was in the original.
Was he more of a stalker enemy previously then?
In the original, yes.
Yeah.
Whereas in the remake, it's a set. Like everybody was like, but I think it's because Capcom put Mr. X in the Resident Evil 2 remake.
Yeah.
Because that's not a thing in the original Resident Evil 2.
Is it not? I didn't know that.
It's in Nemesis. It's the stalker.
Right. Okay. So
Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. Whereas when they did the remake, they kind of put the Nemesis element into Resident Evil 2. So obviously when they did the remake of 3, it was like, well, if we just do that again, like it's lost. So they instead structured it into what is essentially a 5-hour action game. Like it is an action game. It's not very scary. It's not even that jumpy. Like once you,
it's got its moments, but it's nothing too.
I found it more frustrating with elements.
In what way?
Like the way Jill controls in the remake of 3, I didn't like so much. And like I would find that sometimes little things like Nemesis comes when he comes, and then he go, and like sometimes it's like you would try and dodge and she just wouldn't dodge.
Yeah, the dodge was annoying.
Yeah, the window for that tight as shit.
And it was little things like that were like, this is just really frustrating, guys. And like, I don't know, some of the characters just felt different. Like, I feel like Carlos and like the Russians were almost more interesting in the, and I don't know why that is, because it's not that different. But maybe it's my bias of when I was younger. That was one of my favourite games. But it just didn't.
I did notice he had a weird vocal mix, though. That was one thing I did notice. Like, everyone in the game is fine, apart from him who's really oddly quiet, and you're like,
it just didn't feel. It didn't feel to me as memorable. Like Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, when it came out, was a game that I fell in love with, and then it was like, it stuck with me. And then like when I played the new version, it didn't. It did. I just thought, I'm not going to remember this as well as like I did with the Resident Evil 2 remake. And
maybe it's partially that formative memory power, you know. It's a certain point in your life, especially when you're growing up, you know. I'm sure we all do it now with music, movies, TV, everything. You know, things don't hit like they did when you were, you know, early teens up until like early 20s. They are formative memories, whereas now nothing ever feels quite as memorable as it did, you know. Or it's hard to find an album that evokes so much in you that it would have done when you were like 23, 24. Maybe it's at least partially that.
But like, so before, because we could talk about this all night probably, but there's not much point thrashing it out over and over again. But I would like to know what your, like, I'll ask Kieran, I guess, first. What if you had to pick a favourite Resident Evil game out of the, is it 14? Are there 14 entries altogether?
Wow.
When you count all the weird ones,
if you go for like Revelations, Zero, Code Veronica,
yeah,
13 or 14,
something like that.
Like canon games, I guess. I'm not including like
you're not sticking light gun games in.
No. Oh God, no. But like, yeah, what do you think? If you had to pick a favorite, or even maybe a top two, if you
I was going to say top two would be, and not necessarily in this order, but it would be 7 and 5, which are vastly different ends of the Resident Evil spectrum. But
see, I don't like 5. Like, I can't. And I tell you what it is about. I used to have a real problem, and this is why I never played 4 originally, and it's the same reason I couldn't get into 5. I used to have a real problem with the whole, I can aim, but now I can't move. I can't.
Yeah.
Like, and it in Resident Evil 4 it bugged me, but I moved on. When I played Resident Evil 5, and I was like, Chris Redfield is built like a brick shithouse. He's with Shiva Alamar. These are highly trained, like government agents. They've been through shit. They're ex-military. They're ex-police. They're this, that, and the other. There's no logical reason other than the game making me not be able to do it that Chris cannot walk and shoot at the same time, or cannot.
It's his training, man. He's taught to plant his feet, take the headshot.
And I couldn't get.
He does it by the book.
And I couldn't get into it. And it was the one thing in Resi 4, the original Resi 4 and Resi 5, that was the one thing that my brain just couldn't ignore and get on with the game. I couldn't enjoy the game because I'd be like, I'm only dying because you won't fucking walk and shoot backwards at the same time, or you won't, you know what I mean? You fight the zombies off, do something. And that, which is why I love the Resident Evil 4 remake, because it changes that element and it gives you a more modern and I mean, Resident Evil 4 is like, I want to say it was the progenitor of the over-the-shoulder camera, because up until that, I don't think that was a thing. Like,
not to that level, was it?
Or at least not commonly, no, for sure.
Like, you know, would you have a game like Gears of War now
without that?
Or even God of War like 2018 if you hadn't had Resident Evil 4 originally. So like it's a classic and it's a touchstone and it's a big deal. But I couldn't get on with it at the time because I couldn't get my head around, like, if you're going to be an action game, if you're going to let me shoot and do quick time events and all this stuff, let me jump over a ledge and let me run and shoot and let me slide out the way, let me slam a door in your face, let me do that actiony stuff. But it wouldn't. And then Resident Evil 5 was kind of the same. It was just like, why can't you fucking move?
Maybe we are going to get that fixed, though, if they end up doing the Resi 5 remaking, just continuing chronologically.
I imagine they would. I think that was what they would do. And because that might be why I don't like Chris Redfield.
Which will come on to the bonus.
I've not played Resi 4 original particularly. I've got it on Switch. I should probably check. But I remember when it was coming out at the time, and a few friends had played through it on Wii, and they loved that version for the fact that you could do the aiming with
everyone loved that.
Yeah, with the motion controls. And would that maybe have solved a little bit of that irritation for you, do you reckon?
Maybe.
Because you've got sort of more freedom in that because you can sort of free aim quickly and easily.
Yeah, maybe. That would have solved. It was that I couldn't get that immediate fix of action from it. And that's what I wanted. And it felt like I was less scared than I was frustrated when I was playing them, because it was always like, even in real life, I could get out of this. Do you know what I mean?
I'm going to put a shelf down and leg it.
You know, there's 8 guys in rags shuffling at me across like the desert. I could get out of this, but I can't because my feet are rooted to the ground when I want to shoot one of them.
Well, the other change they had there, because that's when they added co-op, wasn't it, in 5?
Yeah, that's what partly why I love 5 so much, because I got really good memories of playing that with all my friends at school and just fucking loved it.
So I wonder, like, how I feel about that, because I now imagine Resi just has solo experiences, and I wonder having that kind of just
don't play
talking trash bullshit while you're playing takes away from a lot of that atmosphere.
Oh, it does.
Because in certain moments, like you chuckle to yourself on your own during like cutscenes for stupid bits. God knows what I'd do if I was playing with you guys. I'd just fucking completely lose it laughing at stuff.
Resi 6 is 4 co-op campaigns. Like, you can play it solo with AI, but it is 4 co-op campaigns. Like all 4 campaigns are designed around there being 2 players.
Doesn't that take away a lot from atmosphere and feel though at that point?
Well, this is the thing. So Resident Evil 6 is an action game. So like, it's less concerned with atmosphere than it is with just being like, I'm on the bandwagon of saying that Resident Evil 6 is the worst of the main series. Like, I really don't like Resident Evil 6.
It's a mess. It's very, very messy.
But there are people, and especially now, like, there's more people now who talk about 6 who have gone back to it, because Resident Evil is one of those things that every other year it's everywhere, and then everybody goes and like, well, what's a good entry point? And you'll go on like Game Pass, or you'll go on Steam or whatever, and Resident Evil like 6 will be on there for a £5 because like, it's shite, but that's the one you'll pick up.
But you'll grab it anyway.
This will be an entry point. I don't know much about the series, but it's got the main characters. Chris is in it, and like, so you like Ada Wong's on the cover and stuff. So you'll go in and you'll play it, and it's like you'll either not know any better, and so you just like it on its own merits, or there's enough in it to keep your interest. Like, it's not an atrocious game, but it's not a great Resi game.
I imagine you'd have had separate teams working on each of the storylines as well, so that would have been hard to try and keep everything together.
They do play slightly differently, don't they? Like, Leon's is more horror focused, whereas Chris's is
they
more
do
like
have
cover shooting, basically.
Yeah, right. It wouldn't work if it was. It wouldn't work if they were all knitted together as a main story. You couldn't do it because they are different. Like Kieran said, it's got a different atmosphere and pacing to each of the stories.
Yeah.
To each of the campaigns, they're all relatively short as well. I think they're all about sort of 4 or 5 hours worth of campaign each. So like, and you can do them in any order.
That threw me, to be honest, because I think you can jump between them, can't you? I think there's like 5 or 6 like stages to each one, but you can jump through in any order. But in my mind,
you freely chop and change?
But in my head, I would play through like Leon's first, and then Chris's, then
that's
Jake's,
what I did. Yeah, I played them, and I don't think I even got to the end of it.
No, I never did. To be
honest. I know that like was it Ada's wasn't Ada's? Well, you had to finish the game to unlock Ada's, right?
Yes, there's a part about Ada's that I'll cover in the bonus pod about her bonus character, because the story around her partner character is quite bizarre. But yeah, she's basically throughout the other 3 campaigns, as they're interacting and interweaving with each other, she's in the background doing stuff in the same area. So she'll be like,
is she sort of tying it together then?
Yeah. So hers is like Mick said, it's almost like a bonus. You play through all 3 stories, and you see how that ends, and then you go back and play through Ada, and you see what she was doing at each of those sort of junction points.
She's always doing some shady shit.
She's always doing that. Yeah,
that's just what she does.
The DLC for 4 remake, Separate Ways, for her little campaign was really good. That's like such a good piece of DLC.
Okay. because she's got the like Batman-esque grappling
hook,
going, hasn't she?
Hook shot.
That feels weird putting that in a Resi game, man.
But you've not played, so you've only played 3 and now Requiem, really.
I've played 3, I've played half of Requiem, I've played half of 4, and I've literally played like 10 minutes of the 2 remake as well.
So
and a bit of 5.
And me and Kieran a few years ago did play a bit of 5.
Yeah.
So like it would be difficult for you to really pick a favourite because you've got
at the moment it's got to be 3 because that's the only one I've actually finished, and I kind of hold it as a bit of a badge of honour for myself at that point. But Requiem is certainly up there so far with what I've played. It could easily overtake it at this point.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think we'll call that a podcast. I think, lads. We're going to go and we're going to jump over and do the bonus because we're going to rank the Resident Evil protagonists for the bonus pod. Well, all the playable characters anyway. That's what the bonus pod's going to be. Yep. Which it'll go out for the Patreons. That the bonus pod goes out on a Wednesday. This goes out on a Monday. It's one of those weeks where I probably could have talked about another game, but like I thought it's just more fun to like thrash something like Resi out for an hour and be like,
just chat some random bullshit.
Have a bit of a celebration of Resident Evil because like everybody likes a game in the Resi franchise. You know what I mean? It's very rare that you'll meet anybody that's like, I can't stand Resident Evil, or even like I've never ever played one. Especially
maybe we'll inspire them.
Well, yeah, maybe. Look, I'm generalizing. There's going to be people that don't like it. Obviously, there's going to be people that have just never managed to play one. It happens. But it's one of those. It's a game in like like I said earlier. It's a touchstone. It's one of those things that you've usually got some kind of reference. I mean, we didn't even touch on the movie adaptations much, thankfully, because most of them are piss poor. But there's a new one coming, isn't there? Zach Kreger's doing. The guy's done Weapons, which is great. He's doing.
It's not an animated one, is it? Is it like
no,
an actual...
no live action?
It's also. This is the thing where I'm a little like, for some reason, this franchise is really hard for people to film. I don't really know why, but it's really difficult for people to get it right. And I think a lot of it is because there's a sense in a lot of filmmakers and like screenplay writers and stuff, like screenwriters and directors, who think there's something lowbrow about the Resi games. And so I think they sometimes think, well, I can do better. Do you know what I mean? Or well, we don't need to do that because it's such a varied universe. It's just zombies and shit at the end of the day. And then they do what they want. And then everybody, all the fans sort of go, why can't you just, like, you've got fucking 20 years of story, 30 years of story. What you want. Do that. And nobody does. And like the one that was on Netflix a little while ago that had like Avon Jogia and like what's her name? The chick who was in like she was Effie in Skins back in the day. But
Welcome to Raccoon City it was called, wasn't it?
Yeah, I quite like that. I didn't think that was too bad. I thought it was like tongue in cheek. They made Leon a bit of a putz for some reason, and and I don't really know why. And like it had a few funny bits in it, like at the end, like the monster comes to the train and he like looks down and there's a rocket launcher. And it's just like, and it was like a nod because there's always a rocket launcher. And like that little bits like that were quite funny. But it still wasn't Resi. And now Zach Kreger's doing it. And he's like basically come out and said, Sony have told me I can do whatever I want, because I think Sony must own the film rights to it. He's like, Sony have told me I can do whatever I want, so I'm making my own story in this universe. And I'm sitting there thinking, you're just going to make a zombie. But it's just going to be an over-the-top gore-fest zombie film. And you're going to mention Umbrella and the Arcane Mountains, and I've just got a fucking horrible feeling.
I don't know, man. If you've seen Weapons, the tone of that,
I have seen Weapons.
Unbelievable.
What is Weapons?
If it's up there with that, I'd be more than happy.
Weapons is brilliant. Weapons is a film that came out last year where like a class of kids go missing in the middle of the night, and then it's it goes places. It fucking goes places. But like that, and it's really unexpected. It's really good. It's very not what you can't predict it if you don't know anything about it. You can't go into that film and go, I know what's going to happen. You can't do it. It's impossible. So Like,
but then he's also got the experience from Barbarian as well. Like that is
it. He
very
does that
like
as well, doesn't
Resi
he?
coded as well. There's a lot of dark corridors, you know, and
this is my thing. Like, Zach Kreger is quite an intimate filmmaker. Like, Barbarians is very close up. Weapons is very close up. Do you know what I mean? That's what he makes. He makes close up horrors, like the Evil Dead remake and stuff. Like he
Yeah.
I don't know if did he do the Evil Dead remake?
I don't think so.
But it's that kind of horror. It all takes place in like someone's apartment or the street or whatever. And I kind of want Resident Evil to do let's do the globetrotting shit. Let's do the explosive action with the horror. And because that's what Resi is. Resi isn't just people in a house. Be it like even the first one was in that big mansion. There's more to it than that. And like, I know in a film it doesn't make as much sense to have like secret passages under a mansion and hidden labs underground, and you've got to try and ground it. It's quite hard to do. But like, that's what I want them to do for a Resi film. I want it to be like Resident Evil, not just like
Zombies again.
Like Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
Where everyone's got an umbrella logo on their shirt. But anyway.
We'll see.
We will see. But yeah, that's the end of that, lads. We'll call it a day now because I want to get into the bonus pod. But yeah, if you're not a member of the Patreon, please consider hopping over and checking it out. We do, like I said, we do an extra bonus pod every week. There's a Discord set up that you can get into and hang out with us, and we chat and play games and talk about all sorts of stuff. And if you don't like that, but you're watching this and you've managed to make it this far, we appreciate that as well. And like everyone says it, but a like, a sub, a bit of word of mouth, stuff like that goes a long way, because we're just a bunch of like dads who like to talk about games. You know what I mean? We're not out here trying to influence anybody. We just want to get together and chat about games and write about games. And usually it's just shooting the shit because we've been around for a long time. But either way, whatever you do, we appreciate it. Yeah, so I've been Mick Fraser, he's been Steve Chambers, he's been Kieran Singh, and you guys have been lovely. Bye.
Catch you later.